Now, three of the best political analysts in the country. New York Daily News columnist Errol Lewis. Errol, good to have you with us. New York Bureau Chief, Washington Post, Keith Richburg. Keith, good to have you. And syndicated columnist Miguel Perez. Miguel, thank you for being here. And the Democratic Party seems absolutely ensnarled in group and identity politics, gender and sex and race. What in the world, how in the world will this party extricate itself from what is a mess?
And it's getting worse and worse, not in terms of gender, race, and all of these issues that are really dividing the party. It's only benefiting the Republicans. McCain, fortunately for him, had a tremendous disadvantage because of the war, because of the economy, because of all these, because of George W. Bush, because of the third term, supposedly. And, we see him now gaining a tremendous advantage because the Democrats can't get their act together. Simple as that.
Errol, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think there's a good chance the Democrats will reproduce the fratricide of 1972 or 1980, snatch a defeat from the jaws of victory. When the voters were involved, back in the last few weeks when you had a string of primaries and caucuses, you'd have an outbreak of good common sense that would sort of, set things straight and force the pundits to admit that they'd been wrong and that they weren't really understanding what was going on out there. Now we're in this lull, and I can't wait till April 22nd, just like the candidates, because in between you get all of this noise and all of this nonsense, and it has nothing to do with the very serious issues you were talking about today on the show.
Keith?
I have to agree with that. It's a testament to the Democratic Party that you have the first opportunity for an African-American or a woman to be the nominee, but it's unfortunate that they're running in the same year against each other and breaking apart what should be a Democratic coalition in a Democratic year.
Well, who started first and who should have stepped aside? Shall we get this thing really revved up now?
Well, nobody thought Obama was going to go anywhere when he first announced it.
Least of all, Senator Clinton, I'm sure. But obviously, he is taking that issue of race and brought it to a new level, demonstrating that race isn't so important, and at the same time demonstrating, Miguel, that it is very important and just as potentially divisive as ever in this country. I've got to do one thing, if I may, John. I've just got to read you one paragraph. I got a letter from a woman by the name of Linda Ziegler. I'm not going to say too much about her because I want to maintain her privacy without getting her permission. But she wrote me at about 12:30 this morning, this wonderfully long email. The subject, shedding some light on anger in the black community. And Linda Ziegler lives in, I'm going to say it, in Greenbelt, Maryland. I won't say any more about her. But amongst the many things she did is she opened a wonderful window for me into the issues of race, her own history. She is African-American. She took me back in this letter with her through 4 generations. We had an opportunity to talk today. I had just a most marvelous conversation. And I got to thinking, this Senator Obama thing, which is nothing, in my opinion, other than made necessary and absolutely forced upon him by Reverend Wright and all of his ugliness. This letter alone makes, I don't know what it's going to cost Senator Obama, but Senator Obama, the price is worth it for me to have an opportunity to talk with Linda Ziegler. And I hope that we can begin that discussion across the country. Positives happening, we can make them happen. And people just follow their hearts and, allow us to have windows into one another's souls and experiences generationally. Do you agree?
Oh, yeah. Look, it was the intended effect. There are moments, and think back to New Hampshire when Senator Clinton, under a great deal of political pressure, shed a tear or choked up or whatever, and the general understanding is she, in her own words, found her voice. I think that's kind of what happened here. Barack Obama, in some ways, was trying to take the easy way out on these very difficult questions. His back was against the wall, partly because of his own negligence. And then he had to do something. He did something dramatic. It may or may not pay off for him in the short term, but he took a real chance. He found his voice on this very important issue, and we're all the better for it. And whether it works for him, again, remains to be seen.
Miguel, let me just read part of what she said. You asked why Senator Obama didn't leave the church. Perchance it was because the good he saw in Reverend Wright far outweighed the not so nice. Perhaps the good that his minister provided him was something he could only get from Reverend Wright. Just like others are able to compartmentalize their lives, so too is Barack Obama, able to pick and choose what he needs and to blot out and disregard what he didn't. These thoughtful. I mean, I can't even tell you how thoughtful and wonderful this letter is.
Look, Reverend Wright, I think the speech was wonderful. I think it does open a tremendous dialogue that we should take advantage of, all of us, including Senator Clinton. She says, oh, you know, it's good that he did it.
McCain.
What do you have to say about it? What is it, you know? But all of that is fine, but the fact still remains that the minister is still going to be a problem for Senator Obama because he sat there, and now we don't know what he listened to. Yeah. We don't know the details of what he heard. Right. It might be too much to say, look, he didn't get up and walk out of a service. That's fine. But, you know, why did he keep going back? Why did he keep going back when he knew he was going to hear this anti-American rhetoric? And he's an elected official. That's still a problem for me.
Well, that's an interesting problem. We're going to hear from Keith and our panel, far more with our panel. We've got more issues to talk about and on this subject. We'll be back in just a moment. Stay with us.
Larry, it's time we got more life insurance. I've been looking. I can't believe how much it can cost.
Mm-hmm.
We don't need $1 million policy, just enough to help with the bills we'll leave behind. They're the loans and the credit cards and probably medical expenses, too. And I hear the average funeral costs more than $6,000. We really need more life insurance.
Sure do.
But where can we find affordable coverage at our age with your health?
It's not a problem. We belong to AARP.
Whether you're looking to supplement an existing policy or buying protection for the first time, you cannot be turned down for AARP Guaranteed Acceptance Life. You never have to visit a doctor or answer any health questions. If you're an AARP member between the ages of 50 and 80, your acceptance is guaranteed for up to $15,000 in affordable lifetime protection. With this plan, rates never increase just because you grow older. You can't be singled out for a rate increase. What's more, this insurance is yours to keep even if you live to be 100. And the AARP life insurance program is endorsed and monitored by AARP. No wonder so many people over 50 turn to the program to get the coverage they need. To find out more about AARP Guaranteed Acceptance Life, just dial this toll-free number and request free information by mail. There's no risk or obligation.
Receive a free Easy Clip-On radio just for calling. Call 1-800-254-8811. Not an AARP member. We'll tell you how to join. Call 1-800-254-8811.
Thanks to the AARP life insurance program, we can get life insurance without a medical exam or a big price tag.
That's right.
All we have to do is pick up the phone.
Oh, don't bother. I already called and got this free information by mail.
Call now for free information and a free gift. Call 1-800-254-8811.
Errol Lewis, Keith Richburg, and Miguel Perez and I are back with you. Keith, where does Obama go with this from here?
Well, as we've been talking about, I think he's done what he had to do. He gave this speech. There'll still be questions out there, but we'll have to wait and see whether these are questions that we, the journalists, have, or if in the general public they're satisfied with this answer and want to move on. Interestingly, he was not asked anything about that today when he did a public forum. People were asking him about jobs and the economy. Nobody brought up the issue of race. So it's interesting to see how this is going to play out. How many
journalists were in that audience?
We weren't asking questions.
We weren't asking the questions. Another problem for both this candidate and for Senator Clinton, both of whom are far less accessible than Senator McCain. That'll be interesting in the general election as well. Miguel, I know you've got some serious reservations about that speech.
No, I have a reservation with the New York Times editorial saying that it's hard to imagine how Obama could have handled this better. Well, it takes very little imagination then on the part of the New York Times, because I can imagine how he could have done it better. Everybody can imagine how he could have, set.
What bothers you most about that speech?
Well, what he may have heard. It's not clear now. He said he heard some things that were controversial. We don't know what he heard. We know that the Reverend has been saying some terrible things. So, did he sit there and listen to this?
Right. Well, he did acknowledge that he had he changed the record a bit in terms of what he had heard and his reaction to it. Florida and Michigan, Errol. Senator Clinton, it looks like she's on the side of the angels here, saying she wants those voters enfranchised, she wants those delegates seated, and she wants them to count.
Well,
with a little personal interest in it.
A slight personal interest. It's easy to be on the side of the angels after you know the outcome of the contest, and you want to then set the rules. I think it doesn't look very good as far as the chances of those delegates making it in. through a revote. You know, they may split them down the middle, meaning that they'll essentially be of no use to either candidate in getting an advantage. The delegations, you know, as you go back through the history about how this came about, they were warned and they were warned and they were warned, and their local political leadership really kind of threw them to the wolves, you know?
And everybody knows they've got to demonstrate their registration too, but you don't want to disenfranchise anybody at the polls, even when everybody knows the rules. You want to err on the other side if possible in this country. That's been our tradition.
Well, and yet there's another question about the disenfranchisement. And I love Michigan. It's my home state. I grew up there, went to University of Michigan, but they screwed this one up. But look, you know, because people were told this is
they're not alone.
They're not, because they were told that this is a beauty contest, these votes don't count. Think of all the people who didn't bother to go out and vote. Now, those people are disenfranchised. So you can't say the people who voted are, you know.
Do the four of us agree there should be a redo here? I'm just out of curiosity. I mean, I strongly believe that the people of Michigan, the Democrats in Michigan and in Florida, should be enfranchised and be given another opportunity to vote on this race.
But
do we agree?
Redoing the election is the only answer. I mean, when I hear Hillary Clinton saying, "Excuse me, but I should be given my you know, in two unfair elections, she should get the delegates." Come on, that's crazy.
Yeah, that shouldn't count.
Well, I mean, a redo would just take them back to stalemate. So, I mean, she's playing for time, and she's trying to sort of make something happen for her campaign, but. It's not clear that a revote would really change the outcome, which is one more reason to do it. Actually,
it would enfranchise those folks who deserve to be.
Sure, just make clear what the voters want. Yeah.
Go Florida, go Michigan. Thank you very much, Earl. Thank you very much, Keith. Thank you very much, Miguel. Appreciate it. And the results of our poll: 67% of you say Florida and Michigan Democrats should vote independent in the next election if they are disenfranchised. Thanks for being with us. We'll see you here later. For all of us, thanks for watching, and goodbye from New York.